Okay, I'm pretty sure that we're live streaming now. So today is Tuesday, October 26th. It's 10 a.m. and we're here for another Tuesday Talks with Church Communicators. My name is Christina Dillabo. I'm the Director of Communications for the Desert Southwest Conference. And this meeting should be at max 1 hour, but I don't think we have gone to the full 1 hour in a long, long time. And that's not good. It's not bad. It just is what it is. We finish when we're done. So for today's Tuesday talk, the theme, the question for us to talk about is, where do you go when you need help? I know whether it's at the local church, when I used to work at a local church, or at the conference, there's always something, whether it's some new tool that's available. We all had to go through figuring out Zoom. We all had to go through figuring out live streaming. But even without a pandemic happening, there's often new things that need to happen. Like we had switched from Constant Contact to MailChimp. And so we had to learn all the ins and outs about MailChimp. How is it different from Constant Contact? There's many different things that the church communicator might need some expert advice. And it's always nice to have a person to contact. I hope you all know that you can certainly contact me. I don't always have the answers. And I thought it might be helpful if we all share what we all do. I'll share what I do when I'm looking for answers, when a church asks me about something that I don't really know everything about. And that's everything. I don't know everything about everything. I didn't mean to make it sound like I do. So some of the things that I do for myself, I'll go ahead and kick it off. Some of the things that I do is, if, let's say, our MailChimp account is down, the website is just white, or it's just not functioning right, I go to Twitter and I look up MailChimp, and I'm really sorry, I've got to share that my neck's messed up right now, so I'm trying to stay focused and dealing with pain and stiffness. So I go to Twitter, and Twitter often has accounts for different companies. They're a lot more responsive. They're a lot quicker, a lot more timely. When something bad is happening to their company website, it's not just the company itself that I'll look up, but I'll look up maybe MailChimp down, or I don't know, whatever it is that I'm trying to find out. I'll put in some keywords in there of what the issue might be, and then inevitably you'll find where their support Twitter account is, and so you can check to see that and see, when's the last time they posted, what did they say. That's usually where companies will post real quick issues like that. If I'm trying to figure out some training, maybe best practices about something, I'll definitely go to that company's website, but I'll also go to YouTube and search for the company there. There are tons. I'm going to share my screen real quick so you can see. Let's see. Okay, this one. So, for example, here's Constant Contact site. You can see YouTube site. I'm going to use them as an example. Obviously, you can, as other YouTube channels are set up, there's different column or rows that are themed with this title, with that title, with whatever. So different companies set up their YouTube channel different ways. So if you don't find what you're looking for in this direction, you should also look at their playlists. That's kind of a quicker way to get to, I don't know what exactly I'm trying to find, but I know it's about marketing. So maybe I'd go to that marketing playlist and see what videos do they have on marketing. Let me go back. Well, okay, so that's one of them. Here's the Canva one. I've mentioned Canva before. If I wanted to find out more about, what don't I know about Canva? What's new out there for Canva? I might check out their Canva YouTube to find out stuff that I don't know. let's see. I was looking at Facebook, for example, has more than one YouTube account. There's the Facebook itself, there was Facebook app, there's Facebook for Business, and of course, Facebook also has Instagram. Oh, here's another cool one. Let me go back to the Facebook one. So when you scroll down, sometimes they have other channels that they're recommending. So that's a great way to find out about, where else can I go to find out whatever it is that I'm looking for. And that sometimes is under channels, and sometimes it's community. It could be playlists. So the point of sharing these YouTube pages is just to share, dig a little bit more. Don't just look for the item. And if I was looking up Facebook company, let's say, I don't know that I ever say company afterwards, but if I was looking up Facebook, and this is how I got to the Facebook site to begin with, I probably would have done just Facebook. And I'm checking here to see who is the owner of this page, who's the author of it. So although these sites are all going to tell me about Facebook, some news thing or whatever, those are not the official Facebook page. So I just keep going until I'd find, this was the first one that I had found, was the Facebook app. And so I might go to something like this, looking at how many views, how many subscribers they have. That also helps you figure out, is this the actual page for that group? Looks like my internet's getting unstable because I've got so many windows open. So keep that in mind if you're looking for the official YouTube page for a specific company. Oh, I was looking up something else. Okay. Then the other thing I would do is go to Google and look up whatever the company name is, and maybe the problem that I'm thinking of, or I would look up the company and support. And so I'd look here to try to find, there's going to be, typically what I found with many companies is, if I was to go straight to their, there it is, help.livestream.com. If I was to go to just Livestream, I'm probably going to find more about their tools available, sales, pitches, things like that. But if I'm already a customer, I want to just get to where can I get help? And so a lot of times it's their URL, and it could be /support, or in this case, help.livestream.com. So that's what I'm looking for, is that special URL. And that's what we did, or what I would do for like Zoom issues. I already know that Zoom has that special URL, support.zoom.us, where you can find a ton of videos and articles and step-by-step helps. When somebody contacts me about an issue they're having in Zoom and I don't know the answer right away, this is where I'm going to go first, support.zoom.us, US, whatever. So those were the things that I wanted to share. No, the other thing is, if I'm looking for, Facebook's another place that I go to if I'm looking for something in particular that has to do with church stuff. I had received a question via email about sound. So I'll go to Facebook and go to the different groups that I'm a member of. This is one of the ones that I'm a member of. And what I wanted to show you guys is, let's see, normally I think this is what you would see. A lot of these groups are organized in a way so that you really shouldn't, to be a helpful group member, you shouldn't just go ahead and type in your question. You need to understand how your group is set up. In many instances, they're organized by topics in the group. And so I clicked here to see all the topics. I was looking for help with the sound issue that the church that emailed me about was asking. And so I looked here to find out, do they have a group or a grouping of topics, or no, a grouping of posts under that specific topic. And so let's say it was about live streaming, then you click on that one and you'll see all of the posts that were put in that group that are about that live streaming topic. So I might be able to find it that way. Something else that I'm going to share with you guys real quick is wherever you, let's see here. I was trying to figure out about live stream. So obviously most sites have a search bar or a search mechanism within their website. But I don't know if you knew that when you go anywhere on the internet, you open up an article, you're on a website, whatever. If you do, let's see here, it's Command F on a Mac, but I think on a laptop, it's Control F. It opens up this other search little engine. Oh my gosh, sorry, really struggling with my neck here. And you can type in what you're looking for. Let's say, I don't know, the sound. You press enter and it will show you, well, let me find something else. Log, there it is. It'll show you how many times that word was in this page and it'll take you directly to it. Try scrolling down, see how, well, it includes portions of the word too. So this might help you if you're looking for something specific, like if it was, I don't know, if you were looking for the price of, so I know that's too basic. If you were on a web page and you're trying to find out, yeah, but I'm just looking for about this specific cable. Do they have information about this HDMI cable? So you'd be able to type in HDMI, press enter, and realize quickly without spending any time here, they don't have anything about the HDMI cable here. So I'm going to move on and go somewhere else. So just a quick little help. That's how I'm able to find things quickly when churches contact me. The other thing that I do, and it's the last thing I'm going to share. Yeah.
Chris, when you were talking about the blogs, one of the things that I found very helpful is to, when you Google and you get a list of blogs, you need to look at the date of the blog, because if it's 6 years old and you're looking at Outlook or Zoom, they're going to be so out of date. So you want to make sure that the date on any blogs that you're looking at is recent. It's fairly recent.
Thank you for that, Carla. That's a great tip. I forgot about that one. And what was the other thing I was going to say? I can't remember. Oh, yes. The other thing that I do, in addition to looking for this stuff, and I want you guys to really keep this in mind, is when a church contacts me asking for help about whatever it is, more often than not, I'm pretty aware of, oh, there's these other churches that also do that. So I'll reach out to them directly and ask them. I'll copy and send your question and say, hey, I had a question from one of our churches. It's listed below. Can you offer some advice on that? So the one that I had, that I received was, oh my goodness, sorry. I had, my big issue right now is getting the sound right for live stream. It sounds terrible. Somehow my media people have not been able to figure out balance with in-house sound and what is coming across the waves. Who do we turn to troubleshoot when the person who designed the system is no longer around? We could never get Vimeo to work with any sound card in our computer, so we reverted back to OBS and Vimeo combo. It worked for a while, but now nothing but issues every week. We tried to call the Vimeo people when we first had the problems, but they were only available during regular working hours, which, as you can imagine, doesn't work for church volunteers who have full-time jobs. They never returned our calls or emails, which was very frustrating. So we went with what our media tech knows. Would be happy for some help here. So I'm not a sound engineer. I don't know all the ins and outs about sound. There's people that I know of that work with sound. So what I did is I copied that email and I sent it to, I think it was maybe 5 different people, and just shared, hey, I got this question. How would you respond? What advice do you have? What I'm really hoping is that somebody is going to say, you know what, let me talk to them directly and I'll work with them. And sure enough, that did happen. So this particular church is getting some help. And, hopefully this one person was the perfect connection. Might not be I did get responses via email from a couple other churches that had some suggestions and contacts for who might be able to be available to help them. So that's another option for you guys. Let's do a round robin and see where do you go when you're trying to figure out, how do I do this? Or you stumbled upon some tech issue. What do you do? Who wants to go first? Raise your hand.
I'll go.
There you go, Greg. And then when you're done, go ahead and pick someone else to go next.
I don't really concern myself with the tech department, so to speak, or the tech workers. My experience with them is that we have developed a pretty good team that does a lot of troubleshooting by itself. They don't usually come to me and say, hey, I need this, or do something like that. So I'm not familiar with who they go to. I know they've had a couple issues, minor issues, and they've gotten resolved very quickly. But a lot of it's sometimes just cooperation and talking with somebody else on the team that they can usually solve the problem. So I don't know where to send people. I might send them to you, Christina, but I think a lot of times they do troubleshoot the problem themselves, and they've developed into quite a very efficient team. I tell people we've been live streaming for 8 years now. So
what church are you with again?
St. Matthew.
St. Matthew. Thank you.
But I think a lot of the issues, we had a very talented, kickoff crew, so to speak, that got the system up and running, got all the cameras in place. Unfortunately, he left the church for another church, but he left it in very capable hands that the person doing it now, they do quite well with it. So I've told them, I said, if you have questions, let me know, but they haven't come to me and said, hey, we need your help. So we'll let it go at that.
And do you guys have like a multi-camera streaming thing and a sound booth?
We have a sound booth. Unfortunately, about 2 years, pre-COVID, we lost our soundboard. Somebody had left the sanctuary open and somebody just happened to come by and find our soundboard. Yeah. So, but we've managed to replace it. They've cut it down. It used to be sometimes 4 people running the booth, and now 1 person can handle it if they need to. It's that efficient. So, but we usually have 2 or 3 people just making sure sounds right, the microphones are on when they're supposed to be on. Cameras, we have 4 cameras, I think it is, in the sanctuary, that we can get different views, and it runs quite well. So we have very few glitches, and they're not apparent anyway. Yes. So that's what we do.
Do you know what you guys use for live streaming?
Vimeo and live stream.
Vimeo and live stream, okay.
But it also goes Facebook, and people are quite happy with it. So there are some people that they will not come back into church just yet, even though we're meeting, wearing masks. But some people choose to stay away, and they go online, and we have somebody monitoring the attendance online. But not everybody signs in. So you don't know. So that's all I have. Carla.
So because I'm a district administrator, I don't necessarily have a lot of the worship issues. Mine is, my issues are using different programs and software that we have. Outlook, we use Teams, and I use a lot of the same tricks that Christina did for Googling. But one of the things that I discovered is some of the websites, when you're going into their help, you can actually sign up to receive like a weekly little short clip. And I've done that I use a program called Lightworks for my video editing. And I've done that for them. And they send me every week, they send a little short 2-minute video on how to do something. And I may not be using it that week, but I find that if I watch those 2-minute videos, it introduces me to things that I didn't know I could do. So it's not always, Christina's a good challenger because she gives us ideas of things that we can do. But sometimes, my field of expertise is really small. And if you sign up for these tip lines, you can get a bigger field. So before I delete any emails, I always look to see if it's a program that I use. I always look to see if I can sign up for a tip line. I find that that can be really helpful.
And that software that you said was Lightworks?
It's Lightworks, yes. I've been pretty, I mean, it's for a beginner, it doesn't have as, I mean, it's free, which makes it, you know, very limited on some of the things that it can do, but it does a lot. And I've been able to do quite a few things with it, and probably could do more if I learned how to do more. And that's why I'm watching the tips every once in a while. I don't do very many videos, but it does help. But I do use the blogs and Google a lot when I need to do something. A lot of times I'll do something and I know I've done it before in Excel or in Word or in Outlook. There's something I know I've done before and I know it can be done. I just can't remember how to do it. And if you just Google, how do I, and type what you're trying to do, it comes up with step-by-step instructions that has videos that, you know, if you're the video person who likes to do videos. And the nice thing about videos is you can watch a little bit and stop it and go and do what they say, and then play it a little bit more and get through it. And I found that's the step-by-step instructions are really helpful. Also, just as a side note, not even work related, when I'm looking for recipes for things, you know, I found that you can actually say, well, I want a soup made out of avocados, and just type soup avocados and it'll bring up a multitude of things for you. So Google can do some pretty strange things if you type. And what I've discovered is sometimes if you type something and you don't get the answer you want, if you read the responses you get, you might see how to reword your request to get to exact, because you may be calling something by the wrong name. You know, you may want contacts and they're calling it entries or something like that. You know, you could be using the wrong word for what their program uses. And of course, I always call Christina because she knows everything. And my daughter helps me a lot too. She works for a newspaper, so I get a lot of help from her. So Linda, how about you?
Okay, I'm here especially today because I'm frustrated. I'm new to Wilcox and came in, and they are still on Zoom. Nothing is live streamed. I have an expert tech guy who uses Church Watch, I think that's what it's called, programming to do all that goes on in worship, slide to slide. And in the past, in the smaller churches that I've served, I've done PowerPoint presentations, but he does not do Windows, anything from Windows. So on this program he's using, there's a delay between slides, and it seems like it takes up a lot of time during worship. I don't know about that. The Zoom is recorded and he edits it and then posts it on the church website. We have had a situation within the last month, well, closer to 2 months now, where the church's preschool has closed down. And there was a lot of technology there that the church can be using. I took the desktop computer and had that put in my office because I didn't have a computer in my office. And the tech guy there set it all up so I could use it. Then there were 3 tablets, larger tablets with lids that they just took and said that they could crack into. Well, the preschool had a website, which the tech guy has now said has posted on there that it's been suspended. But they also had a Facebook page, and I was attempting to do something before they closed with their website and Facebook page. However, the website is not an issue now because they're closed. The Facebook page is still there. The person who's the administrator doesn't remember the password. And the editor posts things that I don't think should be there. Is there a way to take down a Facebook page without knowing the administrator's password?
So you can work with Facebook to take back ownership of a page. The problem is you definitely would need access to the page owner's email address or email account. There's got to be some way to be able to prove.
She's been long gone, doesn't even live here anymore. So I don't know any way to reach her.
Yeah.
And the tech equipment, we also found an iPad, and I don't know if it's been used, but it was originally established under the iCloud account in the name of the preschool, but I don't know the password. And spent hours on YouTube and on Apple's website trying. My daughter and I managed to get the whole system restored and everything wiped from there, but it still will not allow us to have access without that original owner's iCloud account and password. Is there any way around that? I mean, the church owns this equipment. All those people, they left on bad terms, and I don't know how to get that information from them.
So in instances like this, I normally would reach out to someone like David Topping, because if he has time and he's willing, he's done quite a bit of sleuthing and sometimes just convincing with people that maybe left on a bad note from the church to convince them, look, just give us access. So I'm going to try to connect you with David to see if he can work with you guys.
As far as the people, they've within the past year had such a turnover that the director who was there didn't even know any of the passwords to access anything.
Yeah. So Linda, your story is a great reminder of one of the things that we've shared in the past is to make sure that any of your accounts like that, your social media, your website, any accounts that are set up where you need an individual to be able to log in with their personal email address or with maybe their church email account, if it's a staff person maybe. Even in those cases, if it's a staff person, you should always have more than one person as the administrator. Doesn't mean that more than one person gets to go in and make changes or whatever, but you should have a backup so that if something does happen, there's all sorts of different things that could happen. The church is never in a situation where they lose access.
See, I inherited this. So this is, going forward, I would make sure of that, but this is what I got.
One of the, I often recommend to add communications@dscumc.org as an administrator on your church website, on your Facebook account, any of those types of social media accounts. I'm not going in and editing anybody's anything. I'm not going in and checking your inbox notifications on Facebook. I'm just there as a backup in case something happens, you lose your account credentials. I'd still be able to get it to your church, because most likely, most times when churches do lose their credentials, they are reaching out to the conference for assistance. So you'd be helping me help your church if you just go ahead and include communications@dscumc.org or myself as an administrator on your website or Facebook account. But in instances like that, Linda, I will send you an email and work with you to figure out a path towards that. I can't guarantee, it hasn't been where every single time we were able to get access again. In some instances, we just helped explain to Facebook or wherever that this account is no longer the official company account. And so we need help retiring that account. And then we start the new account. So that might be the other option if we're not able to access it. Definitely for an Apple account, I don't think that it's going to be possible to recover it if the account owner email was not a church email account.
No, it was.
If it was her personal.
The preschool established their own like 15 years ago.
And if the preschool is owned by the church, though, and the preschool is no longer in business, you have a chance. You just need to be able to show that connection of ownership by the church and to show that the preschool closed. So there's an opportunity there for potential gaining access, but we'll work on that one-on-one. It's great that you shared it, though, because that is important stuff for people to know, both sharing the account access and what needs to happen in the background to be able to kind of take back ownership. If that preschool account was set up with the preschool director or teacher or whoever with their personal email address, then there's no chance there, because it's going to be tied to their personal payment method with their personal apps that they bought, all that. It's not really owned by the preschool or the church. So
this was the preschool's email account. And also, the thing is, why was that separate from the churches? If there was a billing account, it would have been the churches. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to pick somebody, or actually, did you get to share, what do you do when you need help? Where do you go for answers?
What I have been doing is, I rely on you a lot, but Google and YouTube have been very helpful. Unfortunately, I found yesterday that YouTube, whatever was on there, like Carla was saying, it seemed like it was old and didn't really pertain to the technology that I had. So, but those are my two main sources.
Yeah, so save yourself some time and be sure to always check to see when something was published.
Yeah.
So Vicki or Margarita, or either one of Vicki, you want to go next?
Hi, Vicki.
Hey, it's the first time I've been on here, and as Christina and Carla know, they're the ones I always call. But I'm not doing anything online at my church, and I don't expect they want to anytime in the near future, but you never know. And so you don't know where you're going to be next week or next year. So I'm starting to listen and learn what's going on with everybody, and hopefully that'll help me down the road as well, as Haven. But I don't know that there's any other churches that aren't online besides us. So we have Facebook just for our food pantry information, and we do have a website, which, like Linda, we had that kind of problem with losing the people who knew the names and numbers and all that. And so we have one website that just won't come off of the internet, So we just had to put up a new one because we couldn't get it down, even with an expert, helping us. So it's just there in the cyber world. And it's all we had to do. And so we're correcting it. And I liked your suggestion to have communications as an administrative backup for preparation for whoever needs to know in the future. So thank you for that.
Okay, Margarita, where do you go for help? You need to find answers, or?
I just Google everything. I mean, that's really, I run sound, I do graphics, I run live. And if there's something that I can't figure out, then I just Google it. And between I think there's 2 other people that help me, and there's nothing we can't figure out together.
Cool. How about, are you on any Facebook groups where you kind of bounce ideas off of, or?
No.
Okay. Do you have any tips for, like, when you're doing your Google search, how do you know that you're on the right track, or what to avoid?
I usually start with the problem. So if something doesn't work, I write in blah, blah, blah doesn't work. And then from there, I pick up the things that I'm supposed to be looking for, like keywords, and then type those in if my solution isn't popping up right away.
Okay.
Refining.
Nice. Have you guys ever tried checking out, like, if it's a live stream issue, let's say, maybe researching the camera or the software or the computer or anything like that? Or do you just type in the problem itself?
We've never really had live stream issues. Usually when we have an issue, like at the very, very beginning, it was usually because of a cable. So more likely than not, it's a cable issue, like they're not, either it's not integrating properly or they're not talking to each other properly. And so it's just about switching out the cable. So the first thing we do is switch out the cable, and 99% of the time it fixes the problem. And then if that doesn't work, then we move on to, okay, well, what actually is it? So for a lot of our sound problems, it's finding the right connection, whether our female ends meet our male ends, and if we have any splitters that are causing issues, just figuring that out first. And that's usually the problem.
Awesome. Those are some pretty good tips. I think that those might even help out with the one church issue, that they were having problems with their sound every week, trying to go directly to Vimeo. They're having to do a combo between OBS and Vimeo for it to work, but they're still having problems with their sound. So
we've never used OB or Vimeo, but we do use OBS for our Facebook Lives for our Tuesday meditation. And I usually find that it's unproblematic, as long as you update it anyway.
yeah. You guys have, what church are you with, Margarita?
Crossroads United Methodist Church.
And you have a Tuesday devotional?
Yeah.
Is it at a certain time?
It's 8:30 every Tuesday morning.
8:30. Thanks. I like to watch things like that and share to help build up the audience. So FYI, if you guys are thinking like, oh, how can I build up my audience? One way is to get people to share your content. You could, send me your link and ask me, hey, can you share this on conference Facebook or Twitter or whatever the platform is, and I will do it, or like it, or whatever. Yes. Okay, so thank you all for sharing your insights on what you do. The other aspect of this that I wanted us to be thinking about is our church members, maybe even our staff. Sometimes as communicators, because we're in charge of, let's say, publishing the newsletter, of doing the live streaming, of whatever it is that we do, I think we are sometimes perceived as, well, that's who I can go to find the answers. That person knows. Maybe you shared an article about best practices or health tips or whatever, and so they might want to contact you for follow-up, or want to find out what other information do you have. I'm sharing this as a reminder that what you put out there in the newsletter or on your website or your social media, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to become the expert on it. Just remind people when you're sharing it that, if you didn't write it, be sure to include the proper information so people know where to get more information, where this came from, that maybe that it's a trusted source, whatever. Sorry, I'm going off topic because my neck again. The point is that I'm trying to make is you might be seen as the trusted source. You might be considered as where I go to get information. So be thinking about that. What might you need to do to help? It doesn't mean that it has to be all on your shoulders. Just be thinking about what might be happening in the year. Let's say right now people are thinking about the holidays, maybe shopping, whatever. So things that you find out that are interesting to you, that are important right now, relevant. Maybe it's about warnings for how to prevent phishing attacks, or how to be your own personal firewall so that you don't become a victim of some cybersecurity thing. Maybe it's how to get a good deal for holiday shopping. Notes about delayed shipping that's going to be happening right now. So when should you start shopping? Things like that are probably in your minds right now. I know I've seen information about it. It's been in my mind. So you could bring that thinking into your content management to think about, okay, so it's not Christmas time yet. It's not even Halloween yet, but we're already seeing Christmas stuff in the stores. So my audience, my church members, whoever it is that you're sending information out to, are probably thinking about that stuff too. So how can I connect the church with those items? People are looking at you as a source of information. What information can you share that's from a credible source, that's important, that helps provide some value in your content to give people incentive or a reason to share your content, to tell somebody else, oh, you should check out our church newsletter because I found out blah, blah, blah. Or this is where I learned about whatever. Just use all that stuff to help create better, stronger, more engaging content. It's not that you suddenly need to be the news expert on whatever, but it's nice to have those little tidbits here and there. It might be an idea for putting something fresh in your church newsletter. Anyway, so there's that bit. I don't think I have anything else. Oh yes, one last thing, similar to Carla's idea about subscribing to get those little pieces of information for learning more about that Lightworks for video editing. I subscribe to different newsletters from the United Methodist Church, and I get information about, well, not just the United Methodist Church, many of the companies that we use, like we use MailChimp. So I get their newsletter as well. So when they have webinars, if it's something that I think makes sense for me to know about, or it's probably something that might have some insight for churches, like MailChimp, for example, it is about newsletters and about marketing, but it's often geared towards making sales. So it seems like it wouldn't connect, but I'll still watch webinars from them. Like they had one this morning at 7 a.m. that I was listening to while I was getting ready, because they're going to be talking about at least one good thing, that some new piece that I didn't know about that I can share with you guys. And they do have some new tools available. I'll share with you guys, share the link to that video. It's a 30-minute video in my post email to you guys, so you guys can watch it. I think it's a great little webinar or open house video to watch. You get some good insights about how to set up your email better so people open it more often. All sorts of stuff. Anyway, I'll send that to you guys. I'll send links on the other items that we talked about today. And I hope that you learned something new. I hope that you got some good ideas. If nothing else, two main things. Consider adding the conference as an administrator on your accounts, because that's a big, big deal. Like to lose the credentials to your website or social media. Linda, Vicki, you guys know it's horrible. It's a nightmare situation. So there are things that you can do to prevent it. Help your church out now, even if you're not having any problems with that now. Take some steps to prevent losing those credentials. Add the conference to it. Also, if you don't know where to go or what to do, you need help on something, email me with your question. I might not have the answer, but I'll be able to connect you with someone from our churches that can help you, or direct you with some articles, or here's the link that I found on step-by-step on how to do blah, blah, blah. I don't want to become your new Google, which is why I'm sharing some of the things that I do. But I do want you to know that you're not alone. And if you're having that problem, chances are there's another church that's also experiencing that. So don't hesitate to reach out, because that could be a great topic for another Tuesday talk. All right, so it's 10:45. Unless anybody has anything else to share.
Just want to say thank you, Christina.
Yeah, you're very, very welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me, guys. I hope that you can all come back next week. I think we're going to have a Tuesday talk next week. Let me double check. Next week is November 2nd. Yes, we do. All right.